Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been a long time. The last video I filmed, I was only between 4 and 5 weeks pregnant, and now I am 21, almost 22 weeks pregnant. So it's been a long time. I'm just sitting here, I've got my coffee. Jacob is taking his first nap of the day. We went out and did some groceries this morning. Ellie is at school, so I have a bit of time to sit down, and I even put on a bit of makeup for you. So a lot happened in the last 15 weeks. 15, 16, 17 weeks, I don't even know. So basically, when I told you guys I was pregnant and I was feeling really good, and I told you I was worried about what was to come and how horrible I normally feel in pregnancy. So it was probably a week after I filmed that video, like, sure enough, it hit. I want to maybe do like a whole video on this, but for me, the first trimester of pregnancy is really, really hard. Physically hard. I, vomit and am nauseous all day long, every day. No energy. I lose myself in that time. I'm not my normal self. I have no motivation. I have no energy. I don't care to do anything. Like a perfect example is my house can be a mess and I won't care, which is not me in the slightest. Like normal me, I can't stand it. Like I keep my house really, really clean, and that's not for anybody else. It's just for me. So things like that. I don't find as much joy in my children, which is awful, and then it comes with guilt and all the smells of Jacob's only 1, so like obviously still in nappies, so like it's just nothing is enjoyable anymore. So it's definitely like a little bit of a depression, I think. So anyway, as soon as that hit, I went from being on this like I'm going to be a YouTuber, like super motivated, bought my camera, whatever, to just, I don't care. I have no energy for anything. So that's what happened. And then also, obviously, the rest of the world at this exact same time is just going nuts, right? So this is mid-March we're talking about. So as I told you last time, my parents were about to arrive from Canada for my sister's wedding. So in between talking to you and I guess 2 weeks later, the COVID went from just like a threat that was out there, like an idea, I didn't know whether to be worried about it or not, to all of a sudden our country is going into lockdown, whatever that means. I didn't really know at the time. So my parents were literally on a flight from Toronto to Brisbane. They were at their layover in Vancouver when news broke that Australia was going into lockdown that night at midnight. So they called me, they called my sister, and they were like, what do we do? Like, we either go back to Toronto or we get on this plane, because they're still like, the plane is still going. So we thought, or I don't know who made the decision, but they ended up coming. Thank God they did. They've been here ever since. They had to quarantine for 14 days when they got here. They did that away from us. We didn't see them for 14 days. And then, yeah, they've been here ever since. But this is going to sound so convoluted and confusing, but it was such a strange time. So my sister's wedding was canceled, which was devastating. She lost her job, which was devastating because she's a server at a restaurant. So restaurants were closed. She lost her job. Wedding's off. My parents are here. I'm in that 12-week bubble of just like misery. So I probably wasn't I did exactly what I didn't want to do. I took away, everyone was worried about me when it should have been about my sister. But she handled it really well, considering. I think like being so excited for a wedding and then it's canceled would just be heartbreaking. I can't imagine, but she took it really well. So anyway, the sort of blessing in all of it was that my parents were here to help me. So at the same time that all this is going on, my husband goes back to work for the first time since we've been married. So he's a veteran. He's retired from the military, and it took him some time to find his footing and figure out what he wanted to do as a civilian. So at the same time, he gets a job as a truck driver, and he's gone from working not at all to 50 plus hours a week. So I remember when he came home, it was all felt like it was in one day. You know, the wedding's canceled, my parents are here, we're in lockdown, Ellie can't go to school, I'm sick and, you know, just feeling awful. He comes home and says, I got the job, I start tomorrow. And I just lost it. Like, at that point, I didn't know what my parents were gonna do, and I just felt like I cannot take care of these two kids by myself. Like, I'm too sick, I just can't do it. I can hardly get out of bed, I can hardly pull my head out of the toilet. Like, I just have nothing to give them. And Ellie can't go to school, so like she's gonna be home all day long. And I just felt like that. I felt helpless and so scared, and it's a hard thing to describe. It's not just like, oh, it's gonna be tough to stay home with kids, because it's always tough. It's like this, for me, the beginning of pregnancy, like I cannot function. I'm a shell of myself. And it's horrible, and I feel so guilty, and I hate it, but I just can't do anything. I can't even enjoy like watching The Housewives and drinking coffee. Like, everything is different when I'm feeling like that. So anyway, the blessing in it all was that my parents were stuck here, so they helped me. They literally did everything for me, like cooked, cleaned, took care of the kids. Like, I was able to take a nap every day if I needed to, you know, because a lot of the nausea medication I take makes me tired, and like a painful tired, like you have to lie down. It's not safe to drive or anything like that. So they helped me a lot. I don't know how I would have gotten through it. And Sam, my husband, said he would have felt really uncomfortable taking the job if my parents hadn't have been here to help. Like, he knew, he's been through this with me twice before. He knows how crippling it is for me. So literally our whole world changed in a week. So now we're all home. There's like, our house is not huge. It's 4 bedrooms and 1 floor. So we've got my parents here. Ellie's home from school. Jacob at the time is what, like 10 months old, still needing a lot. And I'm sick, and Sam's at work. So we somehow got through it. Ellie was out of school for 7 weeks. And I have to say, don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining about the way Australia has dealt with COVID, because it's nothing compared to North America, where I'm from. Toronto, where I'm from, is really, really bad. And I have girlfriends at home who have just had babies, and they're stuck in their condos in the city, and their moms can't even see the babies. Like, it's horrible. So I'm not complaining. And I think we've all come to the conclusion that, like, thank God my parents made the decision they did. Because who knows what would have happened. It could have meant not seeing them for a year or more. They could have gotten sick, like, who knows. So at least, the bottom line is, at least we're all together. So yeah, Ellie was home from school for 7 weeks. It was hard. She's not a kid that does well with that. She likes to be busy. She likes to do things. She doesn't sit and watch movies. She's very like high energy, really loves like ballet and like organized activities. So the fact that she couldn't do any of that was hard. So she really acted out and had a tough time. And then, so I guess it's been a month that things have been kind of back to normal. So she's been back at school, which is amazing. We had Jacob's first birthday. We couldn't have a party or anything, obviously. And like the shops are back open, restaurants are back open. They're only taking a certain amount of people, but my sister's back at work, so that's great. And now her wedding has been rescheduled for the beginning of August. So it is happening now. And I'm super excited because thank God I'm feeling so much better. So if the wedding had happened when it was supposed to, when I was about 8 weeks pregnant, I would have been miserable. I would have put on a happy face for her, but it would have been hard. So all that going in, I guess I'll decide if I make this 2 videos if it's too long. So now I am 21.5 weeks pregnant. So I'll just update you. That's my life update. I'll tell you now, pregnancy update. So again, the first 12 weeks, misery, just misery is the only way I can describe it. Anxiety, nausea, vomiting. I get terrible like heartburn and indigestion, which I still have now, but mostly mentally hard. So then I guess I started coming out of it maybe around 14 or 15 weeks. I still take medication every day for nausea. I still often throw up once in the morning, which for some people would be really bad, but for me it's like, I'm so used to it. It is what it is. And what else? Like, I've felt better. So I'm feeling a lot of now, like I get really winded and really tired really quickly, which is how I felt more in my pregnancy with Ellie, my daughter. If I'm walking around the shops, I just get like that feeling of like, oh, I think it's like a blood sugar thing. You know, when you're like, oh, I really need to eat something, or you crave like a sweet drink or something. You feel a bit like woozy. I feel like that, like I could faint if I keep going. So I don't do a ton. I usually, you know, set myself a couple tasks for the day, and if I complete those, I'm like, all right, cool. You know, I get Ellie to school, I take care of Jacob, and I do whatever, groceries, the one thing I need to do, keep the house clean, and that's about it. But that's great. Like I'm happy doing normal things and feeling sort of normal. What else? So all my appointments have been good. I had my gestational diabetes, the glucose test, that came back fine. I had my 20-week morphology scan, that came back fine. Everything looks really good. We still don't know the gender, so that's still exciting. I guess the big thing is that the doctors have decided that I'm high risk again because I have high blood pressure. So I don't know if I mentioned this before, but with my daughter Ellie, who is almost 4, I had a high risk pregnancy with her also because of hypertension. And I ended up being induced at 38 weeks, which looks like is going to be the plan for this baby as well. And then with Jacob, my blood pressure was fine, so I had a, you know, standard pregnancy, I guess you'd say. And I went into labor naturally at 40 weeks. So it looks like this one I'll be induced at 38, which I'm not mad about. Like, pregnancy at the end is so hard. Like, the last couple of weeks are just brutal. So obviously that's kind of nice. But also my labor experience, my delivery experience with him was a bit scary. It all happened really, really fast. I couldn't get an epidural, blah, blah, blah. So to be able to have like a bit of, you know, control over that. I know inductions are no fun either, trust me. But I hope there will at least be time for me to have an epidural, because that's important to me. So yeah, I'm not upset about it. I would say I trust my doctors. A couple of the midwives have said, you know, you don't have to do that if you're not comfortable. You don't have to be induced. But with me, you know, having high blood pressure, I think I'll just listen to what the doctors recommend and do what they think is best. I've been feeling a little bit of movement. I wouldn't say nothing regular quite yet. which sometimes it feels like I'm a bit far for it to not be regular, but I also, I've always had, my placenta is anterior, meaning it's on the outside. So if you can imagine, instead of the baby kicking my stomach, they're kicking like a pillow in between my stomach. So I'll feel sort of movements deep inside, but nothing that you can really feel or see from the outside. What else? I guess that's it. Things are better. I'm much more positive. I'm excited to have a third baby. Jacob is walking, so it's a whole new ball game. And I guess that's it. So I know this probably, the whole YouTube thing for me is probably not going to go that well, because just how easily I lose motivation, you know, and like they say, the way to be successful at this is to be consistent. And clearly I have not done that. But I'd like to be. I'd like to try. And I think, you know, I really have to give myself some slack. Like I said, when I am pregnant at the beginning, I am not myself. I'm usually a pretty motivated person. So we'll see. We've decided too that we're going to try to do like a labor and delivery video. It won't be what other people's are, because it's not going to be my #1 priority on that day, obviously. But we thought, why not bring the camera? I'll have Sam set it up sort of somewhere in the room where you can kind of see what's going on, or at least hear what's going on. And we'll just hit record and we'll see what we get. And if we can turn it into a video, that's cool. And if not, it would just be kind of neat to have, because I'm feeling like a little bit emotional about the idea that this is going to be the last time that I do this. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the last time. So yeah, I guess that's it. I guess I'll leave you with that. I'm not going to do the whole bump shot thing, because like, if you're not super fit like me, it doesn't really look like much. But you can always go to my Instagram, which I will link below, and you can check out, you know, like I post pictures of my bump on there. And that's it. Okay, see ya.